well, you could tell the people about what it is specifically that you do. So
well, it's an endowment, and the endowment is to provide conservation dollars to protect animals in the wild. Because the bottom line is I didn't start to work at the zoo 38 years ago to work for an attraction. I wanted to work to protect animals in the wild. If the zoo's the last place you can see these animals, that would be a horrific shame. So I wanted to leave a legacy, and that is this endowment. When money goes into the endowment, that money doesn't get touched. The money it produces then goes to support conservationists and researchers protecting animals in the wild places where they naturally exist.
So the telephone number is 786-456-4837 if you want to talk to Ron Magill about anything in the animal kingdom. Go ahead, Shalom. You're on with Ron Magill.
Hey, before my question, I just made a mistake in regards to birds. I believe ducks are birds, and they have bills, not beaks. And in regards to my question, we have a bunch of invasive species in South Florida, and I was just wondering, when do invasive species become just natural species, like the Muscovy duck starts eating some lizards here? Does that make them a natural species, or do they always stay, not natural?
Well, they consider an invasive species as different than a non-native species. Non-native species is an animal that did not naturally occur here, was introduced by an artificial manner, but has not been designated to create any detrimental effect on the environment. That difference between that and an invasive species is an invasive species comes in here and has a detrimental effect on the environment. It's a non-native animal, but it's now destroying certain elements of the environment, which makes it dangerous. Your comment regarding the bill and the beak, they are kind of synonymous with each other, but technically, I guess you are correct in that way. The platypus, for that reason, also has a bill, not a beak.
Ron, 3-year-old male jaguar gets loose in a New Orleans zoo, goes on a rampage, hunts and kills several smaller animals, including foxes. Is that the least bit common in zoos, and has it ever happened in Miami?
It's certainly not common in zoos. It's not happened in Miami where we've had a predator get out and predate some of the animals in the collection. But it is something that it's not the first time it's happened. I'll leave it at that. It's something that I think people need to understand, that though those animals were killed and that was tragic, the public was never in danger. That animal never came out of containment. Zoos go through various levels of containment for animals. So that animal got out of its enclosure, had access to other animals' enclosures, but never got out to the public.
Mike, you're on with Ron Magill. Go ahead, Mike.
Ron, if an ostrich jumped off a cliff, could it at least soar and survive or glide? Also, do any cultures eat ostrich? Thanks.
A lot of cultures eat ostrich, including our culture. There are actually ostrich farms in Texas, and it was, promoted as the new red meat, the healthy red meat for the longest time, until they realized it cost a lot to maintain these ostriches. It was actually cheaper to maintain cattle. To your first question, if an ostrich jumps off a building, it's going to die really quickly. It's not going to soar at all. It's going to hit the road like a big pizza. They have no wings at all, really. Their wings are just little feathers, like little feather dusters on them. So it would look
tough
very
to
silly.
stick the landing, too, right?
They're going to stick the landing like a big road pizza. That's no gliding at all.
Carlos, you're on with Ron Magill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead.
Hello, Ron. I recently saw an animal called a hairy screaming armadillo. Why does it scream? And if it's a defense tactic, how is it a defense tactic?
Well, it's a defense tactic because it is startling. And that's something you'll see in a lot of different animals. Animals will scream, they'll bark, they'll make a weird noise, very loud and very spontaneous, and it startles whatever is preying on them. It might not necessarily scare them away, but at the moment that they're startled, it gives the animal that's being predated on an instant to get away. It gives them an exit strategy, and they sometimes can take advantage of it. But that scream is, in fact, that's the reason, to startle them.
Stugotz, help me out here, because we're doing a radio show. You're being paid to do a radio show. You're pointing at the television because there's a Met on it to distract everyone in the studio.
Yeah.
Like, what the bleep are you doing?
Jacob deGrom has a 1.91 ERA in losses this year. I hate them.
You put your arm up and you blocked the camera angle because you just wanted to point at something Mets related on the television while working and calling Gary Sanchez lazy because he doesn't hustle and doesn't pay attention to his work.
This was a hustle play. I wasn't being lazy. I was just, there was big sports news up on the television, and I was letting everyone know that Jacob deGrom has a 1.91 ERA in losses this year.
Worth noting.
Thank you.
Zach, you're on with Ron Magill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead, Zach.
Hey, Ron, I have a question. Why wouldn't a caterpillar stay a caterpillar? Because once it becomes a butterfly, it dies in 3 days.
You know, the same question could be asked, why don't cute babies stay cute babies and become adults and die? Right. It's just part of the process.
Good answer. Tyler, you're on with Ron Magill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead, Tyler.
Hey, Ron, my son tells me he wants to be a zoologist when he grows up. Is there any money in that, or should I suggest he do something else, like a doctor or a radio show host?
Get out now.
If he's looking for money, tell him to run away. I got to be honest with you. Now, he's looking for something that can make him happy. You know, a lot of people like me and my peers, we're happy without a lot of the money because we're never going to see it. But we love doing what we do every day. That's the difference. I know people have a ton of money and they're miserable SOBs. Okay, that's the difference. You want to be happy doing what you do every day. You spend your life at your job, your career. Be happy doing it instead of having a lot of money and being freaking miserable. Because I know a lot of rich people that are just miserable pigs.
He's talking right at you.
Why are you looking at me? There's 3 people in here. I mean,
Kyle,
it's ridiculous.
Kyle, you're on with Ron Magill of Zoo Miami.
Drive.
Ron, question for you. Watching Shark Week, saw that bull sharks can live in freshwater for a period of time, and so I'm wondering, in a fight to the death, who would win, saltwater crocodile versus bull shark?
That's a good question. I'm going to go with the crocodile if he's able to get the bull shark. You know, if a bull shark's going to have a real strategic bite into the abdominal area to eviscerate the crocodile, but crocodilian skin is very thick. It's not going to be able to cut into that skin as easily as would cut into other mammals, you see, or other fish for that matter.
Even with those teeth, even with razor blade shark teeth.
Yeah, but bull shark teeth are not that long. Okay, so he's going to have a tough time getting into. Remember, crocodilians have osteoderms. They have pieces of bone in their skin, so it's a lot harder to bite through that skin. Whereas once the croc gets a hold of that shark, forget it, man. The shark, he's going to rip it apart like it's made out of jelly. So I'm going to go with the croc.
Let's check out the video here on the screen. Let's all watch it together. He does this at the end of every animal segment weekly. He does play-by-play.
Okay, it's a grebe. Oh, this is the mating of the grebe. Watch this. It's a great dance. He's going to go up. He's going to under the water. He looks at the female. He goes, hello, 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 hello. Hey, baby, how you doing? How you doing? No, how you doing? Hey, want to go up? Hey, baby. Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
Dancing.
Whoa, that's porn.
See, if you could dance like that, brother, you'd be so successful. You'd be hitting left and right everywhere you can go. Look how beautiful. Look at now. Watch they dance. They run across the water together. Watch this. This is fantastic. Watch.
Is that,
come on.
Are they having sex?
No, they're not having sex. This is the dance. This is the date, the dating phase. Look at this. It's beautiful. Look at the synchrony. Look how synchronized they are. This is gorgeous. If we could learn to date this way, we would be so much more successful with our mates. I'm serious. Instead of just, buying them dinner. Look at this. This is work. This is effort. Look at that on top of the water. Dancing on top of the water like this.
They are dancing on the water.
Can you hear the music in the background?
Beautiful.
They have music in their ears. It's going through their minds.
Yes.
This is the beauty of nature. There's so much we can learn from animals, man.
Yes.
God, that's beautiful. Oh, look at that again with the wings out. Hi, baby. How you doing? Wait a minute. I'll pop up here in a second. Oh, you like me? Yes, I do like you. Hello. Hello. How you doing?
Animal porn.
This is beautiful. This is not animal porn. That's your problem, Dan. You're just so demented. You've got such a demented view of life. Instead of looking at the beauty of this, look how synchronized this is. This is like synchronized swimming. It's gorgeous, and they're doing it together, perfectly together. Dan, could you do that? No, you couldn't do that, Dan.
Could I do that?
You could never do that.
Yes, that's exactly how I have sex. Yes, it's exactly the same.
Having sex, Dan. It's not all about sex.
Dancing.
It's not the destination, Dan. It's the journey.
All I want to do is a zoom, 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 and a boom, boom.
I feel like these videos need to have some
That's
depth
a great
at the
video,
end, though.
man.
I don't know.
That's a lovely couple.
Yeah, it is. Very
that's
nice.
The They do this great.
Did you just say I feel like these videos need to have some death at the end?
Yeah, there needs to be something killed at the end. I don't know.
We've seen several of them with them. Yeah, we've done several with death. At the end.
I know, but yeah.
Remember that deer where the bird was poking at it and then the deer grated and ate it?
The only ones I remember are the ones where something is killed at the end. That's all I'm saying.
I cannot tell you how useless you've been this segment.
You're sick.
It started.
It's a Grom. I mean, the Grominator. Gee, 1.92 ERA in his losses.
It's 1.91.
Why don't you like the Mets? Why don't you like the Mets?
What's there to like about him?
They've just betrayed
Go
him.
ahead. Start listing the things there are to like about the New York Mets.
You love the Mets and then they betrayed you.
Well,
Yes.
Okay,
Forever.
I understand your
Yes, thank you.
Ron Magill has like action figures of the 1969 Mets.
I have the whole series.
Nice.
Ed Kranepool.
Ed Kranepool.
I played with Kranepool.
Really?
You played with Kranepool?
Greg covered him, yeah.
I played with Greg with Kranepool, with Swoboda, with Wayne Garrett, with Jim McAndrew, with Tommy H.
Nobody knows any of those names.
Kuzmin?
They're
I do.
all ancient.
No,
Yes.
I know all those names.
Look at who your ally is right here.
right.
Oh, rocking chair Cody.
Tom Seaver, Duffy Dyer, Jerry
Valspar,
Brody.
Stugatz. Tell him about Valspar.